Hi guys, and welcome to the Lowland Catchup. It's the Eternal Optimist. He is back for this week, and I'm joined by Derek. How you doing, mate?
I'm not bad, how's you?
Yep, great. It was a really good day for football yesterday. You were obviously at a game, I was at a game. We'll just get straight into it, but there was no East Stirlingshire this week. They were meant to play Kelty, but obviously Kelty had that massive cup game against Solihull. We'll start with Friday night's game. In fairness, Cumbernauld Colts versus East Kilbride at Broadwood Stadium. It was Cumbernauld Colts that took the lead after 30 minutes. It was Craig Murray opening the scoring with an assist from Richard Kerwin. It was the equaliser 10 minutes later in the 40th minute. Dan Carmichael's corner is met by the head of David Brownlee, who bullets the header past the Colts keeper. Not to be outdone though, Colts did regain the lead just before half time when Stephen O'Neill chipped the Kilby keeper after Craig Murray put him through. East Kilbride were really going for it in the second half. They brought on Rory Payton quite early, and McGrath, who's obviously on loan from Celtic. The turning point in the game, really, it was a wee bit late in the game. It was a second yellow card for Arnie Bembo, who we've talked about as a sort of combative midfielder, if you will. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with how he plays or anything, but it can attract the attention of the referee, and he did get sent off. And Kilby really went for it. 86 minutes, they did get the equaliser. Rory Payton holds it up, slips it to Coyle, who whips in the ball, and Sean Winter slops home for 2-2. Before the end of the game, East Kilbride had 4 forwards on at the end to try and get the winner. A reasonable result for both teams, I think. What are your thoughts on the game?
You kind of summarised that pretty well, including with Arnie Bembo, who is the proverbial wrecking ball in the middle of the pitch. But he's one of these guys, he's always going to get a red card every so often. That's just the way he plays the game. And ultimately, I think Colts will be a bit disappointed not to take the 3 points, because if he had stayed on the pitch, chances are they'd have been talking about 2-1-1 here. So I think from Kilby's point of view, as much as I'll be disappointed not to get the win at the very end when they were pushing for it, they've managed to come back and get the draw, and it looked like they were away to lose the game. So it's one of these. Colts have had a great start to the season. Kilby's been a wee bit up and down, but it's still very early days in the league. And one of the things we talked about in the preview podcast for the whole season was if the likes of Cumbernauld Colts can step up and take points off the big boys in the league, and we basically anticipated the champion not running away with it this year in the same way that could have happened in previous years. Colts have kind of proven that like the gap in quality isn't as big as some people make it out to be for the big sides in there, and this league's got a long way to run. So as much as Kilby would have wanted that win, they'll probably be a bit relieved going home with a draw.
Absolutely, and when looking at the timeline of Malks kept on bringing strikers on, I was a wee bit worried if they were going to go for that equaliser that Colts might hit them on the break. We obviously know Colts are a really, really good sort of counter-attacking side, if you will, but yeah, things were said after the game, you might have noticed on Friday night. I listened to, I think it's called the Lower League podcast that the Daily Record do. Obviously Paul Thompson's on it, who's obviously the East Kilbride correspondent. To me, when I listened to it, I think I said to you guys as well, he just sounded a wee bit defeated about Kilby's chances. I still think it's really early doors, and he did eventually reply to my keep the head up sort of tweet after EK drew the Colts. I wonder what would have happened if the EK managed to get the win there. Probably nothing, but he had a few things to say. Obviously, I think he kind of accused this podcast of being a wee bit too nicey, which I disagree with. I mean, it's still early in the season. I'm not going to hang boys for 7-8 games in. Critical analysis, unfortunately we don't have the luxury of talking about one team on this programme. We only got a set amount of time as well, between usually 3 of us. At first it wasn't an argument. I know a lot of people were sort of looking at it and thinking it was, but the thing with Paul, I mean, I agree with Paul with some things. Form isn't great against the sides at the top, but they drew with Colts last season and they lost the Strollers and still ended up winning the league. They haven't been scoring as much as Kelty, I think that's fair to say, but the points on the board are what matters, and they're not out of it in my opinion.
Of course they're not. They can't be out of it at this stage in the season. And I think, to be honest, I get what kind of happened there in the disagreements. It wasn't a massive disagreement, it was just certain areas you're disagreeing on. But one of the things that I think we need to be mindful of here is, as much as the likes of Paul obviously expect Kilby to go and really challenge to retain their title, you're doing a little bit of disservice to Cumbernauld Colts and the other teams that have taken points off them this season, because there has been a general step up in the quality of teams in this league, full stop. And while there's some teams going to get lost in the wash in that, and they'll probably end up getting relegated over the next few years because of it, the league itself is constantly improving, constantly getting better. We'll get onto the Kelty game and talk about an interesting kind of comparison with the level down south as well later on. But yeah, I just think you need to be careful not to kind of beat teams down too much if they're not being as all-conquering as they have been in the past.
Exactly. And, Malks has obviously seen that there is definitely weaknesses in EK, the squad, but he's brought 3 players in on loan to sort issues at the back and up front. David Proctor and Craig Howie were always going to be hard to replace for me, for that defensive record. But in terms of the criticising, I mean, I saw something that I was really disappointed with Paul when, saying that Ross Kavanagh wasn't cutting it. I mean, Ross Kavanagh is a player that's played in League 1 and 2, and he's still quite relatively young, 22. I'm not on here to defend gaffers or players, they're thick-skinned, but, obviously I'm at Kelty most weeks, you're at BSC. What happens if we were at Kelty or BSC and undermining management and talking down their chances? I don't think it would work, would it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be club ambassador at BSC if that was the way I was talking, to be honest. But
that's the main issues I have, obviously. We've had situations where, we didn't think a player had a decent game, but most of the boys, I think, are professional enough to admit that themselves. We're not on this podcast to slag boys off or teams off or anything like that. The thing that kind of irked me with Paul, obviously, he mentioned, I said anything, I'm not saying anything's dead set or something along those lines, like anything's dead set. He mentioned, so you must think that Vale Leaven's going to win the league. Well, I'll say it like this, Derek. When there's a crime that's happened and the detectives say we're not ruling anything out, I don't think they quite mean anything, you know what I mean?
That's the strangest comparison you've came up with in a long time.
But no, that got a wee bit silly at that point. And as I say, I've got nothing against Paul. Obviously, we do disagree a lot, but I disagree with yourself and Sean a lot as well. There's a team that we'll come into that I disagreed with yourself and Sean last week. Obviously, I wasn't on the pod. But for me, overall, it's not about being right or wrong. It's sometimes I like getting proved wrong, obviously, especially when it comes to the sort of bottom sides. It's just opinions at the end of the day. We try and go by the results, but you mentioned it earlier, the competitive level is immense this season. Everyone knows it. Everyone knew it would be. I'm just not sure if Paul thought it was going to be another cakewalk, and that's where I think he's finding it a wee bit difficult, and hence the criticism. But yeah, slagging players off still at the club in a national newspaper is just I'm not a fan of it.
I hear you.
Right. Anyway, moving on to after that ranting section. When we get things like this, we have to address them, obviously. But I don't take kindly to saying that we're all nicey, because there is times we have to be harsh. We have been harsh in the past, but it's early in the season, and it's exactly like you said, Mozza, we're not going to be calling out too much after 7 or 8 games, you know what I mean? Yeah,
it's still far too early to make absolute judgments on teams, because, as I know in the past, I tend to get them wrong, and I tend to get them biting me in the arse.
Well, it's like what I was saying, I think the majority of my predictions were wrong this week, so one of which we've talked about. Obviously, we did feel this team was going to have a chance, but as we certainly didn't expect this result. Could you tell us about your trip to New Dundas Park?
We billed it as one of the games of the weekend. I think we chose about 4 different games at one point, myself and Sean. But when you looked at it on paper, you had Bonnyrigg leading the way. Probably the biggest side they'd played thus far was Cumbernauld, I think, arguably. So we've been saying the last couple of weeks, it'll be really interesting to see when they're facing off against the likes of Kilby, BSC, Kelty, how the level kind of finds itself with them. To be honest, the scoreline didn't really tell the whole story here. So BSC ended up running out 3-1 winners. And I'll run you through the game first. So basically, 16 minutes on the clock, BSC take the lead. Robbie McNabb turning the ball past Weir after some great work in the midfield, latching onto a through ball that BSC are now actually becoming specialists in. Little kind of through balls in between defenders. And 10 minutes later, it was 2. Jamie McCormack forcing his way into the box, coming back for suspension this week. We're charging out to clear it, but McCormack deftly kind of lifted it over him. It probably would have gotten in its own volition, but Tam Collins made sure and stabbed it home just as it was going towards the net. 2-0 half time, and it was a kind of tale of two halves, to be honest, because BSC had much the better of the first half. Bonnyrigg came out and were quite impressive, I thought, in the second 45. But the first goal did go to BSC, so 3-0 on 49 minutes. Tamor holding the ball up, managed to stick it through to Thomas Collins, and he finished a great curling strike past Weir just inside the box. You kind of thought that was that, but Rose had their chances to come back into this. They scored just on the hour mark with Jonathan Brown putting the ball in, Cian McGeehee stepping over it, and Lewis Turner blasting into the empty net. Basically, McGeehee up front, his dummy just sold everything, basically. And they actually went on to hit the crossbar not once but twice. So it could easily have been 3-3 on a different day. But the main kind of chance, there was just a few minutes left. Jamie Docherty, just a howitzer of a strike, and it bounced right back off the upright. Ended up going over actually with a spin. But yeah, it was a really entertaining game. A great advert for the league. I think obviously Swifty will be absolutely delighted that, given that BSC lost Martin Gray in midweek to an injury, I was a little bit concerned, I'll be honest, because I thought this is a kind of game that we would need Big Paolo in. But Thomas Collins has been outstanding since he's joined, and he ran the show again, basically. I don't think there's anything to worry about in Rose's side, because as I say, different day they'd have got something out of that game. They played some very impressive stuff. They're a big physical side as well, so they can do the nice and the not so nice side of the game, which is great for a team in this league because it means you're adaptable to whatever opponent you come up against. And obviously it's a great wee ground as well. I love New Dundas Park, but all in all, everything was pretty good on the day for me, to be honest.
No, it's a fantastic one. I don't think when we both talked about it, I think we were, when we said that BSC might get slung at the game, I think we were maybe expecting a draw, maybe not a 3-1 win, but fantastic. I said I felt that BSC had to get at least a point out of this game to really, we use that word, put a marker down, and they've done just that. It's a fantastic effort from the guys there, and full credit to them. You're right about Bonnyrigg. I don't think they've got too much to worry about. We've seen teams lose, obviously BSC for example, and they've fought well back. I think Rose now have to do the same. I think we're going to see a lot this season when teams, or the top teams, drop points. It's how they react, and I think we're going to see how Bonnyrigg react to this. And if I remember right, I think the league games now are a wee bit favourable for them, so I don't think there's too many concerns. For BSC, they're right back up there for me, especially with that game in hand.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the table itself, so BSC now move up to third. Win that game in hand and suddenly you're joint top, depending on what Kelty do with their game in hand. So it's so tight up there, isn't it? See, when you look at the table just now, any of the top 9 clubs could be pushing up towards the title. So it's brilliant for us, I must admit. You've got every storyline you need in the early going.
That's why it's so hard to predict, mate. We might make assumptions and our opinions based on other results, but every week it's a bit of head turning is going on, I think. It's good you said about Thomas Collins. Obviously, I think we're both big fans of Thomas Collins. I think he done really well when he came in the end of last season, and now he's taking his chances when he is playing, and it's great to see. I'm a big fan of Thomas Collins for BSC. So we'll move on. The North Edinburgh Derby, as it's dubbed, was at Christy Gillis Park. Civil Service Strollers versus Spartans. Gordon Strachan was in attendance, the former Scotland manager. I don't know the backstory, if he might have just fancied a game at Christy Gillis, or if he's got some friends there, or what the situation is there. But he was in attendance. I saw a wee picture of him.
I think Gordon's linked with Spartans, isn't he, loosely? I think he's been. I'm sure he's had some sort of award or been in the academy at some point. Can I give them a hand here and there? I'm sure there's a 10 years link. He was there just to learn off the two tactical gaffers.
Yeah, but indeed, the two of the best in the league, obviously Gary Jordan and Dougie Samuel. It was Spartans that dominated early. They finally turned possession into a 16th minute lead. It was Scott Maxwell, who's been playing brilliantly lately for Spartans. He threaded the ball down the flank into the path of Aaron Murrell, who squared the ball to a returning Blair Atkinson. The striker took a touch to take him away from his marker before sending it home. Blair Atkinson, I think they've been missing him a lot lately, Spartans, and well, as we know from last season, I think he likes a goal against the Strollers. A minute left on the watch before the break. Spartans scored their second, and Aaron Scott free kick out wide as he delivered it into a packed penalty box, and captain Adam Corbett leapt like a salmon to head home just before half time to make it Spartans 2-0. I noticed Adam Corbett, he might have been a wee bit cheeky with his this one's for you sort of strollers today on his Instagram. Yeah, Spartans were dominant, however in the dying stages of added time, courtesy of Josh Morris, Strollers did get a goal, sliding the ball home in off the post from close range, but from what I've heard, it was quite flattering, the scoreline for Strollers. Spartans completely dominated them, from what I've heard. These teams, there's no love lost between them, obviously, but when I first looked at this, I really thought the momentum would be with Strollers, especially given the fact that their home record was really good going into this game, and they'll be gutted to lose to their North Edinburgh rivals.
Yeah, it's a funny one because myself and Sean actually disagreed a wee bit on this when we talked about it last week. He felt that Strollers would be the favourites to win, and I was a bit more kind of fence-sitting, but I didn't see Spartans dominating. I certainly didn't see that kind of being the outcome, but it sounds like, as you say, that's exactly kind of how it played out, and they more than deserved the 3 points. But they've got a good record in the Edinburgh Derbies, don't they, Spartans? Even going back to last season when Strollers fancied their chances towards the end in the last derby and they couldn't get it done. So it's a wee bit of a kind of bragging rights situation. They won't want to let that go.
No, definitely not.
Because I think it's quite clear that Spartans see themselves as the kind of the bigger brother, so to speak. So, but yeah, it sounds like plenty of entertainment again. And for what people were saying, I think it was actually quite a good crowd that went as well, which is good to hear.
We put the vote out again for the game of the week, and that was chosen. You can't argue with a North Edinburgh derby. You're right, though. I think Spartans do have the edge in most of them in terms of wins. I just felt Strollers. I don't know why. I just felt Strollers, given their home form and how they've started the season, I really thought that was probably their biggest chance to beat Spartans. But
yeah,
when you've got guys coming back like Blair Atkinson, who I mentioned, obviously loves a goal against the Strollers. Sometimes difficult to get the team right when you might not know these guys are back in action, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of the point in the season as well where we've seen it a couple of years in a row now that Spartans, after a slightly slow start, get moving.
Yep.
And it seems that could be the pattern of play again as we move on.
Do you want to take us into the Uni derby, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. So we spoke about it at length last week. It's a cracking fixture list we just had this weekend. Edinburgh Uni at East Pertham hosting University of Stirling. Talking of bragging rights, here's yet another game where that comes into play. But yeah, it started off with on form University of Stirling taking the lead. 25 minutes, Stirling corner put into the front post, and Angus Mailer rising highest to head home. And that was kind of reflective of the way the first half went. Pretty much the majority of the game and the majority of the chances went to Stirling in the first half. However, straight out after half time, and it was Edinburgh Uni who got themselves back in level terms. 3 minutes on the clock of the second period. was a bit of a strange one because the ref gave the Edinburgh Uni a corner. It was probably not a corner for what I've been told. Everyone seemed a bit baffled, to be honest. But they made the most of it. Good ball into the back post, and it was met well by Mark Waters to level the scores. With 20 minutes left, Dorian's men, Edinburgh Uni, went down to 10 men because Jordan Purvis picked up a second yellow. And bearing that in mind, I think Chris Geddes and Stirling will be disappointed that they weren't able to make that advantage tell in the last 20 minutes and dropping 2 points as a result, because they've been in brilliant form. But again, you've got to give credit to Edinburgh Uni, I think, because let's be realistic here. We've pretty much written them off, I think, this season in terms of... I don't think there's a pod I've been on where I've not said that they're battling relegation. But they keep picking up points. And they're defensively doing very, very well for the most part. They're not letting in many goals. They're not scoring many at the same time, but they're competing in every single game they're in. So I think, especially now that both unis are having their intakes and they're about to get their squads backed up with new talent, the two of them have made fantastic starts in their relative positions. And I actually am going to put my neck out there and say both unis are going to stay in the league, I think.
I'm more confident about University of Stirling. I know I've got a wee bit of a like for them. I'm really fond of Chris Geddes and David Chandler and stuff, but I think you're absolutely right. I think where Edinburgh Uni struggle is in the final third. I think that's is most notable. They do have a few guys there, obviously know where the back of the net is, but I think they are struggling at the moment. It's interesting that Mark Waters got the goal. I think he's a really decent player for this level. There's also not to be confused with Ross Waters. I don't think they're related, spelt differently, but you've got to give credit to Edinburgh Uni, but University of Stirling will be absolutely glad not to get the win there, considering they have brought in a really good, I think Chris Geddes mentioned, a lot of technical sort of players in their intake. I think University of Stirling could push sort of mid-table to top table. Edinburgh Uni, I think they're still going to struggle if they don't start scoring goals. But you can't take anything away from them this weekend. That's a fantastic result. From what I heard, they did sit in a wee bit, which is never good, but maybe they were expecting University of Stirling to really dominate the game, and I think they did at large parts, but Edinburgh Uni obviously done their job and got a result there.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, that's Edinburgh Uni's style just now, in that they're going to sit in and they're going to try and hit in the break. That's the way that kind of circumstances that dictate they need to play, isn't it? So as long as they're grabbing the odd goal and they stay defensively solid, they should have enough, I think, to stay in the league this year.
Moving on to what was described as the cross-border derby, Gallifreydine Rovers versus Berwick Rangers, who our friend Adam, the football nomad, was at. He done a great sort of cover for it, so make sure you check that out on Twitter. I think it's been retweeted by Gala and I think Berwick as well, so definitely give it a read. It's always good to a bit of promotion for the teams and stuff. It was a very decent crowd from what I read from Adam's report. 5 minutes in, it was Berwick Rangers that took the lead. Darryl Healy nodded in the opener for Berwick, and they were looking good value for their lead. You're probably expecting... I actually thought Berwick might win this one before the game, obviously. But it was 2 penalties to Gala that basically outdone the wee Jers. The first being on the 19th minute, which was slotted home by Scott Taylor-Mackenzie. The second could have been considered a wee bit debatable if it should have been or not. 27 minutes, the second, as I mentioned, it could have been harsh, and justice was almost done when Sean Brennan made the save, but Jack Cowan was there to hit the rebound, making it 2-1 Gala. The half wasn't over. 4 minutes later, on the 31st minute, Darryl Healy scored again to make the sides level at the break. Decent half of football. The second half, Berwick had most of the chances and pushed hard for the winner, but Gala were smart on the break. With 5 minutes left, Gala broke clear and might have got the winner if not for Sean Brennan making an amazing stop between his legs.
Which is an interesting way of putting it.
Yep, I would have loved to have seen that one, to be honest. But yeah, 2-2 full time. Yeah, it sounded like an entertaining game, Derek, and well, it's one of those tough ones. As I mentioned, I thought Berwick might have got all 3 points there, but Gala sound like they've done well to obviously get the draw. It's one of those ones where I think both teams would have loved a win there, but draw was probably the fair result.
As you say, it could have gone either way, because as much as Berwick had the better of the second half, it sounds like Gala had a couple of brilliant chances in the break to seal it themselves. So I think it's important again that we give another shout out to the crowd, because all round the league it seems that it had great numbers this weekend. Obviously helped with the international break, but it's good to see that potentially a lot of people who might have gone to SPFL games have turned up to go and see these kind of local games, which is great. It can only be good advertising for the league when it's been plenty of exciting football going on as well. But yeah, it's interesting, because I think this game tells you a lot about where Berwick's level is this season now. They're beginning to settle that squad. Darryl Healy's beginning to score goals, which we predicted. Because the last time he was in this league, he scored for fun. So they've got a goal scorer. They've got a pretty solid defence now, with Ricky Miller anchoring it. A lot of talented young players in that Berwick side. So I think this result probably tells you they're going to be a mid-table side. You'd expect Gala to be mid-table as well after a bit of an interesting kind of close season. They've bound together and they've done well. But yeah, I think, to be honest, both teams will be happy enough with the point, the way it's gone, because albeit you could have had a chance to win it, you could easily have lost it as well with the way the flow of the game went. So yeah, kind of fair share of the spoils and move on, I think, to next week.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Berwick are settling a wee bit better now. Well, one of few that didn't think they were going to be right at the bottom. I know a lot of people predicted that, but I thought, mid-table, at the start of the season. I just think they needed time to gel. They brought in, as you mentioned, really good youngsters like Camille Lumsden, for example, and then, Kevin Waugh, who was at Civil Service Strollers last season as well. So they did have a decent sort of team there. Ricky Miller's doing really well, as you mentioned. So I think they just needed time to gel, and I think they will get more points going forward. And like you mentioned, we underrated Gala a wee bit, I think, at the start of the season. I think you're right. I think they'll probably be mid-table as well. So, yeah, fair result on the strength of both teams, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So, next up to Raydale Park, Gretna 2008, who have had a real tough start under Humphreys, hosting Dalbeattie Star, who I was actually quite impressed with, to be honest, when I saw them earlier on in the season. Plenty of goals in this one, and we build it up, myself and Sean, as a really big game. It was the first kind of 6-pointer, I think, at the wrong end of the table, and ultimately it was Star that took the spoils. So Richie Maxwell, just before the game, Star manager had said he wanted no more hard luck stories for his side. He was fed up of being the plucky underdogs. He just wanted to go out and get a result, and he got his wish. So 6 minutes in, Stephen Degnan opened the scoring with a penalty, and another penalty after that on 22 minutes. Not too much else happened the first half. So 2-0 half time, and then the floodgates opened a wee bit. So 49 minutes on the clock, Jack Dickinson got his name in the score sheet, followed literally a minute later by Dean McInerney getting his first goal. Degnan finished his hat-trick on 56, and then with 20 minutes left in the clock, Phil Middlemiss rounded out the scoring. But Gretna couldn't push on anymore after Phil's goal. 4-2 full time to Dalbeattie Star. I kind of thought that would be the more likely result in terms of a Star win. It raises some real questions about Gretna, though. Real questions that they couldn't get it done at home. And I would now be getting concerned, I think, if I was a Gretna fan.
It was interesting, obviously, that they got back to 2-2. After the draw they had with Cumbernauld Colts at Raydale Park, I actually thought they were going to win this, to be honest. I saw them against Kelty in the 10-0 defeat. There was there was a few positives. Ryan Rodgers looks a really decent player, but yeah, you're absolutely spot on, mate. This was a 6-pointer, and I think a game they really had to win. But full credit to Dalbeattie Star. I think Richie, the way he spoke about this game going into it, the mentality was spot on. I think they felt hard done by when they played Shire, because from what I've heard, that wasn't a 4-0. I saw a lot of comments based on like how did we get beat 4-0?
Yeah.
And they went into this game obviously with a wee bit of a chip on their shoulder. Obviously that they'll be buzzing to beat Gretna, because they probably were going to be in similar positions. Dalbeattie Star, I think we've mentioned the run that they've had in terms of playing up against the top teams. I think this is something Richie and the lads can build on. In terms of Gretna, I think you're spot on as well, though. I am a wee bit concerned about Gretna. I think Dalbeattie Star, they kept a lot of their sort of mainstays. They do have a bigger squad. They've added a few boys back that have obviously been there before, and the addition of other guys as well. Gretna have a brand new team pretty much, apart from maybe a couple of guys, and at the moment it just doesn't look like they're gelling. It's got to be massively concerning for not only Chris Humphrey but the lads there as well. They do have a bit of fight about them, but at the end of the day, exactly what Richie Maxwell says, he doesn't want any more hard luck stories. I think Chris Humphrey might say something similar in the next few weeks, because Gretna, they seem like they are a decent team, but I just don't know where their points are going to come from after getting defeated at home by a Dalbeattie Star team.
I think it's telling that that's the first game at that half of the table that we looked at and we said the winner of that's going to feel a hell of a lot better about themselves. I think Gretna, clearly, as you say, they're not quite there. They're not quite gelling yet. It's a massive kind of turnaround in the dressing room in terms of the players that are there. There are quality players there, but it's Chris's first job in management as well as other things, so he's learning on the fly. It's just a little bit concerning, and we're very close to getting to the stage now with Berwick's games in hand. If Edinburgh Uni manage to pick up a result, suddenly you've got Gretna and Vale beginning to get cut adrift at very early stages. And they want to do everything in their power to avoid that, because as we saw with Whitehill Welfare last year, if you get cut away, it's very, very hard to catch up again, especially at the wrong end of the table. So, yeah, I wouldn't be in full-on panic mode just yet, but you need to start picking up even just solitary points, just get a bit of momentum going. And I don't need to tell Chris Humphreys that, he knows himself. He's a guy who's been in football his whole career. His whole life, so he'll be going back to the drawing board and back to basics, I'd expect, for the next couple of games, because if they go through this wee spell of games with potentially winnable games without getting any points, suddenly you're back around to facing the bigger boys again, and it doesn't get any easier.
It's interesting how you mentioned the wee cut-off, because I think there is actually a wee sort of the bottom four teams, I think, are slipping away a wee bit compared to the rest of the league. We've got to congratulate, obviously we focused a wee bit on Gretna there because they're the ones that are kind of struggling at the moment, but a fantastic win for Dalbeattie, and we've got to congratulate Deggs for his hat-trick. Brilliant achievement. Speaking about struggling teams, we'll get into the final game in the Lowland League. It was Vale of Leven versus Caledonian Braves at Victoria Park, and all that needs to be said, it was another hat-trick. 36 minutes, Mark Kelly smashes home the opener. 2 minutes later, Kelly again in for an open net after Ross McNeil's shot was saved. It was 2-0 at half-time. 64 minutes, it was a hat-trick for Mark Kelly, unmarked at the back post, and heads home for his and Caledonian Braves third. It was the perfect hat-trick. I think it was right foot, left foot and a header, so well done to Mark Kelly. Pretty much expected from Caledonian Braves. We know they've been struggling a wee bit. This is where I disagreed with you and Sean a wee bit, because we done the comparison, and I was the one that probably made the comparison. I'm sorry, old Edisport, but I think the term is consistently inconsistent is what I called Edisport. I disagreed with yourself and Sean about last week, because the teams that Caledonian Braves are dropping points to have been the sort of teams that you expect to be at the top. Last season it was kind of hit and miss for Edisport. I think last season they could have easily drew with Vale Leaving or dropped points to Vale Leaving. They're getting wins against the sort of bottom half of the teams, but they're dropping it to the sort of the teams going for the title, if you will. So I don't think it's quite the same as Edisport of old. Fantastic from Mark Kelly. He's a player I really like. I think I heard Ricky Waddle saying that he probably should be playing at higher levels. I agree. I think he's probably one of the top strikers in the league, and it's obviously great that he's got a hat-trick. But in terms of Vale Leaving, I am a wee bit concerned about them now. I think that's 7 or 8 games they've lost, and I just don't know where their points are going to come from. They have to be like all the other bottom sort of sides and try and beat the teams around them, but it's not happened for them so far, especially we saw more recently against the likes of Edinburgh Uni. They just can't seem to pick up results.
Yeah, and that's, well, as you say, that's 8 games, and they've not had a single point, so I think you're more than justified about having concerns there, especially when on paper it looked like they'd improved their squad for last season. Clearly something's not right, because there's guys there that are kind of seasoned veterans in this league and we know can do a job. So they need to get scoring. That's the main kind of thing, isn't it? You're not going to win games if you don't score goals. We don't need to tell Ando. Ando knows what he's doing. He's been in this league a long time. He himself will be really disappointed with the start they've made. But the longer it goes on, the harder it is to get moving. So fingers crossed for them, they can get a couple of points on the board pronto. One side note, Mark Kelly, I know you've had a great hat-trick, pal. I know it was a perfect hat-trick, but you need to get some new dance moves, because that goal announcement, girl. I mean,
I wasn't going to comment on that, mate, but yeah, I did see it too.
I think you need to get some more juggling movement.
Good shout that. Yeah, Vale Leaving, they have a bit of probably one of the younger squads in the league. We did talk a lot about last season about how they weren't really getting the numbers. They have had the numbers the last few games, and it's not really changed anything. I am a wee bit concerned about them. I think the issue is their team has improved, Derek, but like we've said, at the top to the bottom, it doesn't really matter. All the other teams have improved also. That's the issue. I think a lot of teams have seen. Worrying, but as we mentioned, a long season ahead, and I still think they can win the title. So, right, moving on to our last game. It was the Chocolate Biscuit Challenge Cup, as you guys called it. Kelty Hearts versus Solihull Moors at New Central Park. It was a game that I was at. It was obviously a novelty game to see probably one of the top teams in Scottish non-league against one of the top teams in English non-league. I was really buzzing for this all week, Mozza, but I wasn't impressed by Solihull. I think there was a few people that might share that opinion. There was a few high tackles early on, sort of elbows in the face type of stuff. A bit of a hatchet job, to be honest, that first half. Some of the tackles were shocking. There's pictures all over Twitter. You could probably hear the commentary on one of the radio stations, but how they never got at least 1 or 2 sending off. Stenson on Cammy Russell, you've probably heard about, literally had Cammy Russell's face tearing into his face, and then he bloody put his arm round him, and it was shocking, really.
It was basically a wrestling move. I saw the pictures, wasn't it? It's like a headlock and threw him to the ground.
How that wasn't a sending off, I'll never know. Kyle Storer on Sean McCurdy before half time, an absolute shocking tackle. He could easily have been sent off too, but anyway, 37 minutes, it was Kelty that took the lead. Brilliant ball in, and Cammy Russell gets the end of it with a header. One of the loudest, probably the loudest cheer I've ever heard at New Central Park. I think as Dean, the general manager, said, I think all the roofs of the stands came off. It was really, really good buzz. I was just the disappointment was more on the Solihull side, as I mentioned. I think this first half, I don't think they really wanted to play football. I think they were there to sort of bully Kelty, and obviously it's a thing I'll get into a wee bit later. But yeah, so half time 1-0. And Solihull came into it more into the second half. I think Kelty ran out of steam a wee bit. They were good with the ball on the ground. I think they were the better team with the ball on the ground, but they kind of started punting up a wee bit more than they really should have. I think it was maybe the full-time versus part-time players sort of kicking in. Solihull did get the equaliser 72 minutes in. It was Stenson, who we obviously mentioned might have been off the park with that wrestle on Cammy Russell. The initial play might have been offside. I did hear a few shouts. I never really saw it. You can't really see it too much from the highlights either because of the angle, but it didn't matter. It was 1-1. The game kind of dragged on a wee bit towards the end. Solihull were kind of on the ascendancy, but it did go to penalties, and Solihull did win 4-2. Yeah, as I mentioned, it was a novelty game. A wee bit disappointed that obviously Kelty didn't at least get another sort of glamour cup tie, but you can't take anything away from Kelty. The guys were brilliant. They done the Lowland League themselves. Kelty, everyone proud, I think, to really give Solihull a game, in my opinion.
I think, firstly, I think you need to just congratulate Kelty and a team that, not just a full-time team, because everyone kind of falls back on the full-time v part-time thing as a kind of normal argument, but it's more than that. This is a team that were one step away from getting into English League 2 last season. They were competing with Salford. They're a very, very capable, very, very good side. And you'd expect a side of that stature to beat a League One team in Scotland, to potentially take a championship team close. So, yeah, you've got to give the props to Kelty first off. Also, over 1,000 fans in New Central Park. How good is that? Brilliant turnout. It sounds like there was loads of neutrals that came in for Edinburgh and the like, and everyone was quite entertained. So fingers crossed for Kelty, they can hold on to a few of those kind of neutrals that turned up. But yeah, I think, to be honest, it seems like Solihull underestimated Kelty from what I've read and so on. And I noticed the Nathan Austin calculator's out in full swing again, because one of the Solihull fans was trying to justify how they hadn't beaten a Scottish non-league side. And he was talking about, I think it was £1,500 a week he claimed that Fash was on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So the calculator, it's like the old Celtic Seville calculator that about 50,000 extra fans that turned up at the game every week, I think. But I fully expect to hear somebody say that Austin's on £5,000 a week by the end of the season, though. But yeah, other than that, to be honest, I don't think Kelty will be too disappointed to exit the tournament at this stage, because if they got through that game and suddenly got an away day to Wales or Ireland or whatever, that might start interfering with their domestic side of things with the league, and all Kelty focuses on the league, isn't it? They're desperate to get up, so it's a great day for the club. They've done well. They've represented the league really well, but I think they'll be pretty satisfied that that's it, over and done for this year anyway. And now they can put their focus on their bread and butter. So, yeah, I don't really have too much else to add, I don't think.
Well, I did have a word with goalkeeper Ben McKenzie after the game, so we'll listen to that. A difficult game today, obviously, a bit of a novelty playing a team like Solihull. What was the atmosphere like before the game? Obviously, one of the biggest fixtures in the club's history.
We knew we were going to as underdogs, but we always fancied ourselves. We fancied ourselves against anyone these days, pretty much the boys in that dressing room. We always believed that when we got out onto that pitch, we can get a result, and I thought we proved it today. Drawing 1-1 against a National League side, they're full time. The facilities they've got, the money they've got, is much more than ours, and I think we matched them, especially the first 45. We bettered them today, so we always believed in ourselves. Just a gut at the end, really.
Yep, obviously a lot of your penalties. You were actually given man of the match. I don't know if you heard. I think you played really well. Bit of a ill-tempered game, if you, to say the least.
I think we were just trying not to get involved, but I think the Solihull players, they were up here to try and bully us, and I think we've done well to restrain ourselves sometimes, especially when you've got the by your throat and they're dragging you at the pitch. But the boys done well to restrain themselves against them.
So a few big games coming up for the league, as well as the Scottish Cup at Auchinleck Talbot. Are you expecting a sort of similar atmosphere in that game?
Definitely, we're expecting a bigger crowd probably because it's the Scottish Cup. It's more of a meaningful competition. So hopefully the fans turn out again. The fans were brilliant today. I think it was 1,100 that were here, so we'll hopefully get the same, if not more, for the Friday night against Auchinleck.
Obviously want to thank Ben for that interview there. Yeah, it's like you say, Mozart, they done the league and themselves proud. One thing I'll note about this game, and I think the start of the season, last season, I think when Kelty came up against the physical sides, going to use BSC as an example because they're kind of known for that, they were in the habit of maybe not being as streetwise, but I think it's something that Barry's really improved on. They were more than a match for Solihull. The fight, basically, the battle in the game. Last season, I think they wouldn't have been as up against that previously. You did see teams kind of maybe bullying Kelty a wee bit, and I think that's been eradicated from what I've seen early this season.
Yeah, I must admit it'll be really interesting to see when Kelty and BSC next face off, the difference, because we were both at that game last year, and well, Martin Green had the day of his life, didn't he? He was loving
doing the Martin Green
that game. He was just utterly dominant. So it'll be really interesting to see that match up again. But yeah, as you say, it sounds like Solihull basically decided that that's how they were going to beat Kelty. They were going to intimidate them, be physical, and just envelop them. And it didn't work, and they had to change their style. So it says a lot that that's one particular thing that Barry's been successful in preparing for.
Absolutely. Right, we'll move on to the weekend's fixtures. It's South Challenge Cup action. We do have a game on Friday night. Can you guess what team it is?
The Bright Lights of Broadwood.
It's Cumbernauld Colts versus Dalbeattie Star. I think one of the only sort of all Lowland League team affairs, if you will. Cumbernauld Colts have been quite strong at Broadwood Stadium. Dalbeattie Star will be buzzing after that win against Gretna. Cup football is harder than league football to predict, but I reckon probably Cumbernauld Colts will fancy their chances at Broadwood.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yep, we'll move on to Saturday's games. We'll start with Gallifreydine Rovers versus Newton Stewart at the Netherdale. I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure how Newton Stewart are doing in the south of Scotland, but I'd probably just go with Gala, the fact that it's at Netherdale.
The last year or two, it's been the likes of St Cuthbert's and Bonnyton and Stranraer Reserves, these kind of teams that have been up the top end. You'd still need to go with Gala though, just purely for the level they're playing at week in, week out. You've got to fancy the Rovers, don't you?
Price never mentioned Freve there. They continued what they're doing in the south of Scotland. They could be the only team to make it back to the Lowland League after being relegated. They're doing really well.
They are indeed, yeah, that's a good shout.
A lot of former Lowland League guys there, guys like Lewis Todd, so it could be an interesting one. I mean, it's always difficult. We mentioned, obviously, East of Scotland so strong, but Freve, we shout out to Freve there. Leaf Athletic versus East Kilbride at Peffermill. I would have to go with East Kilbride. I can't. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say too much about if they lose that game.
Yeah, I'm going to side with Kelby in that one as well. Two leagues between the teams now, the way the East of Scotland does. You need to fancy Kelby, don't you?
Yep, absolutely. Bowness United versus BSC Glasgow, Newtown Park. This is one that sort of sticks out to me because Bowness are doing the business in the East of Scotland. I still reckon BSC Glasgow will be too strong for them, but away from home it definitely could be a closer fixture than people might suspect.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I do need to give a wee shout out to Kev McAlpine, who does a lot of social media for Bowness. Been in touch with him the last wee bit, and hopefully get to meet him and a few other Bowness guys at the game, but it's set up to be a cracking cup tie, and it could go either way because Swifty will likely rotate the team, I think, for that one. Guys that are on the fringes will get a wee bit of time, the likes of Michael Anderson, who's beginning to break into the first team will probably get a run out, I'd expect, and a few more of the squad players will be looking to get some minutes. So who knows? But it's going to be another ground I can tick off the list that I haven't visited. I've not actually been to Newtown Park, so I'm looking forward to it.
I was there years ago, I have been to Bo'ness, like this you're talking about, when proper junior football back at about 10 years ago or something, so been a long time. I hopefully enjoy your visit. Bo'ness, yeah, as I mentioned, they're going to be one of the top East of Scotland teams this season, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really big club for this, well, non-league level.
Moving on, Socky Juniors versus Civil Service Strollers at Beechwood Park. I don't want to completely all go with the Lowland League sides, but I would probably fancy Strollers in that one again.
Yeah, Socky's not had a great start this season, so that kind of gives you more belief, I'd say, that Strollers will be able to go there and get the result, but they've had a couple of decent results in the cup last year, so okay, so you never know.
Canoe versus Spartans at Tulloch Park. I'm going to go with Spartans.
Yeah, I've not got much to add there either.
This is one that also stands out for different reasons. Linlithgow Rose versus Gretna 2008 at Prestonfield Park. Linlithgow Rose doing, again, kind of like Bo'ness, doing fantastic in the East of Scotland. Gretna struggling in the Lowland League. This could be a really interesting one in terms of seeing where a top East of Scotland side is compared to one of the bottom Lowland League sides. I'm going to have to go with Rose in this, based on form.
Yeah, I'm going to go Rose as well. Our pal Chris Sampson is a big Linlithgow fan, and I suspect he would be pretty confident about this. So I would like to see Gretna do well. It would be nice to see them kind of kick on and get moving, but Rose are very, very strong. They would compete at Lowland level with the squad they've got. So yeah, I'm going to go with a home win there.
Yep, fair enough. University of Stirling versus Arniston Rangers at Forthbank. It's more challenging for the sort of uni teams if they've got a younger squad. It's more difficult if they're against a proper sort of East of Scotland side because of the youth factor, if you will. But University of Stirling did have a really decent cup runs last season, and I think they will get through against Arniston.
Yeah, I must admit I don't know too much about Arniston this year. In terms of who they've got, what their squad's looking like, but purely on the fact that Uni are at home where they've done very well, and they might well have a chance to bleed some of the new young players in, give them a shot. They'll be keen to impress. I think you go with Chris Geddes' men.
Caledonian Braves versus Crossgates Primrose. Crossgates Primrose are a team quite local to me, obviously. I did see them against Strollers pre-season. They done really well to get into the East of Scotland Premier last season. I still think Cali Braves, especially at Alliance Park, are going to be a wee bit too strong for them. Yeah,
Crossgates have actually got a pretty decent team, but Cali Braves are showing that they've taken a step up for last year. I think your analysis on them earlier on was pretty spot on in terms of they have dropped points, but to the teams you'd expect to be at the very top. It depends on how much they rotate here, but you would need to give them the favourite tag.
Vale of Leven versus Kelty Hearts Victoria Park. I didn't, in fact, make it to the league game. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it on Saturday either. One ground that I might not be able to scratch off this season. It's going to be tough for Ando again. I think Kelty Hearts are, they're going to be back in action in another cup, and I'm assuming it could be another heavy defeat there.
Yeah, and even if they do rotate, one thing Kelty's got more than most sides is strength and depth. So it's not going to make things any easier with fresh legs coming in there against a kind of already battle-weary Vale of Leven side.
Lochar Thistle versus East Stirlingshire at the Northwest Community Campus. Shire back in action and back winning games. I think that's going to be a win for Shire. Yeah,
and they're getting their guys back now as well. Eddie Malone's just about back fit. They've had a couple of guys like Sean Brown that have recently returned. They'll be ready to go. Kind of knock the rust off, get these guys back fit, and looking to score a few goals in the process, I'd imagine.
Yep, it helps if we've got about a 30-man squad that Shire have. I was looking at their squad the other day. Obviously, I still update it for Wikipedia and stuff, and a massive squad. But yeah,
they're keeping me busy putting their squad together for the new Football Manager game as well. So cheers for that, Dale. I appreciate it.
Plenty of depth there for Shire, but yeah, I can't see them getting defeated in that game. We'll move on to plugs. Derek, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, as usual, at Moza Plays on Twitter, and you'll find me anywhere else through there, basically. How about yourself?
Rampant FM on Twitter, and obviously you can find the Catchup at Official Catchup on Twitter too. Pretty easy run through today, mate. I'm happy to be back. Sorry about the ranting earlier, but
as long as you got it off your chest.
well, I don't know. Maybe people do have that. But I don't think we're too nicey. I think we're just not. I don't know the word, the right word for it, but we're not. We're 7 and 8 games into a new season. We're not going to be too harsh on teams. I don't think. I said it earlier, but I don't think there's a need to be too harsh. You know what I mean? We appreciate the guys that I know. Some of the players and the gaffers listen to us. So why are we going to be cutting their throat on a podcast? It wouldn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Aye, this is true. Ultimately, we're going to be positive in our nature. We're talking about the league and we're trying to promote the league, and fingers crossed we do a good job of that, especially with all the help where everyone has given us interviews and opinions, and please keep doing that, anyone that's listening, because it makes our job so much easier, getting a bit of feedback and just doing what we can to promote this league and hopefully get those crowd numbers getting moving, because as we've seen at the weekend, there are some brilliant numbers. I know I've mentioned it a few times now, but I think we do need to give a shout out to the way clubs are running themselves and attracting punters through the gates. I think the momentum behind the league itself, not just with the teams, is great just now, and long may it continue.
We'll get into it a wee bit probably next week actually, but obviously massive Scottish Cup games coming up as well. I'm really looking forward to Kelty versus Auchinleck. I know that's going to be an interesting one.
It's going to be a battle. No.
A lot of I'm sure there'll be a lot of how much is Nathan Austin on per week again from a lot of opposition, if you will. But look, it's part and parcel of the game. Fans have their opinions, we have ours, and obviously some of the guys like a wee bit of a banter as well. So I did see Paolo's tweet to Nathan Austin going on about his calves. I don't know if you noticed that. I thought that was quite funny.
I did indeed. Paolo's one of the top Twitter wind-up men. Thoroughly worth a follow. But just out of interest, see for that Kelty Talbot game, do you think it will hit 4 figures in the crowd?
Yes, I do. I think it will. Well, the issue I think they have as well a wee bit is the fact that it's on television.
Yeah,
It's a Friday night as well, but I still think it'll hit four figures. I think you're probably going to see a lot of the sort of local fans come up to the game. I did see a few Cowden Beef shirts at the Kelty game on Saturday, so I think something similar will happen.
Yeah, and Auchinleck tend to travel well as well, don't they, their fans? So I just think that would be a real statement of intent as well from the whole of non-league football in Scotland, that listen, there's clubs at this level with fan bases that potentially outnumber your League 2 and League 1 teams now. So anything like this in terms of moving forward and hopefully getting more promotion, more relegation, it can only be a good thing. And good luck to both sides, because especially it being on telly, really hoping it'll be an entertaining spectacle.
Yep. The Talbot gaffer was there on Saturday, so he'll obviously be doing his notes on how to deal with Kelty. But yeah, it'll be an interesting game. I think obviously it's all ticketed, which is going to be interesting at New Central Park. But I think Kelty are they're going to have it all organised, and I'm looking forward to see when BSC and East Kilbride come into it in the second round, who they sort of face as well. I think it could be another decent season for the Lowland League teams in the Scottish Cup. A lot of them, BSC, Gala and Stirling Uni sort of broke records last season getting to the third round. I'd love to see that sort of thing again, and I think there's a few teams who have a chance to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did absolutely embarrass myself when the draw was happening, thinking, where's BSC? Totally forgot we'd got the bye into the next round. But that was a bit of a come down when I got that explained to me. But I can't wait to get us into the draw and see who comes out, because there's a right chance this year with the talent in this league and the Highland League as well. Don't count them out, that there's a right chance of some cup shocks in the next couple of rounds, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we'll talk about it next week as well, but another one you mentioned, obviously the Highland, but Fraserburgh versus Bonnyrigg Rose could be another a big game, if you will. Anyway, well, let you go. Thanks everyone for listening, obviously, and we appreciate all the feedback and all the questions as well. We want to thank the league for their support, people like George Fraser, and we'll see you next week.
Catch you later.